Christina Calayca was a very upbeat, clever, and devout 20-year-old Christian girl with a big heart and infinite love for her family. She was last seen during her camping trip with her friends in the Rainbow Falls Provincial Park in Ontario, Canada on the morning of Monday, August 6, 2007. The authorities literally turned the entire massive park upside down searching for her, and did not spare a tool or technology to make sure that they did not miss anything. The following private searches and investigations also failed in finding a single lead or even item that can be connected to the case. These facts eventually led experts, her family, and private investigators to believe that Christina did not get lost in the park, nor was attacked by a wild animal, but was probably kidnapped or murdered. Christina was a truly good-hearted person who did not see the evil in people. She was also a Filipino-Canadian, and thus her appearance greatly resembled that of Native Canadian women. This may have played a role in her being targeted by an opportunistic killer or a racist sadist. In the summer of 2007, Christina Calayca was living in the Cabbagetown neighborhood of Toronto. She also had a full-time job working at a summer camp organized by St. Bernadette's Daycare. Everything about her personality, lifestyle, and family life was quite normal, and as her friends, family, and community put it, just outstanding. Before the Canadian long weekend holiday known as Civic Holiday, which takes place in the first week of August every year, Christina and her cousin, Faith Castulo, and two friends from the Youth for Christ movement, Edward Migue and Joe Benedict, made plans to camp at the famous Rainbow Falls Provincial Park in Northwestern Ontario over the long weekend. The park covers an area of about 2.2 square miles and is located on the busy Kings Highway 17 between the towns of Schreiber and Rossport. Within it, there are two camping sites, the White Sand Lake Campground about half a mile from the park entrance, and the Rossport Campground, located about 1.5 miles to the west along Highway 17. The park is known for being well maintained. Additionally, there are amenities such as showers and a shop at a central location. All of the park's hiking trails are very short, except one, called the Cascade Isles Trail, which passes through the park and is about 27 miles long. However, all areas surrounding the campsites in Central Station and off the hiking trails are quite rugged and covered with thick bushes and cliffs up to 800 feet high. Nevertheless, no experience is needed to camp and take the hiking trails because it is an easy park to navigate. Christina and her friends made good plans for the trip, and her colleagues at work knew what she was up to and with who. The group left Toronto in Christina's mother's car around 10 a.m. on Saturday, August 4th for the long ride to the park. They made stops in Sault Ste. Marie, Nice Provincial Park, and Schreiber along the way. They also were delayed after they ran out of fuel near a place called Wawa. These stops and the delay made their 14-hour drive turn into a nearly 24-hour journey. At around noon on Sunday, August 5, 2007, Christina and her friends arrived at the Rainbow Falls Provincial Park. Originally, they reserved campsite lot number 72 in the White Sand Lake Campground, but later moved their reservation to lot number 88. Because it provided a more private location along the lake. As soon as Christina and her friends arrived at their lot, they began setting up their campsite and relaxing. Tired from the long drive, they decided to take a half-hour nap around 6:30 p.m., so they set up an alarm clock and went to sleep. However, the alarm failed and they slept until 10:30 p.m. After they woke up, they lit a campfire and spent the next several hours crowded around and grilling over it. Excited by the serene country atmosphere, clean air, and beautiful weather, they chatted, laughed, and ate until they ran out of food. They also had a few alcoholic beverages, but with a limit, and none of them became intoxicated. They also took photos, and the last one of Christina was taken 8 minutes after midnight. That is 12:08 a.m., Monday, August 6th. In the photo, Christina appeared happy along with her 2 male friends, huddling around a frying pan on the fire. The photo was taken by her cousin, Faith. Christina proposed around 3:30 a.m. that they go for a swim in the lake. However, it was too dark, and thus the group decided that it is better to head to bed. They did not go to sleep until 4 a.m. At around 6:30 a.m., Christina woke up and asked her friend Edward to accompany her to the central station, where there are showers, toilets, a shop, and a service center. This is where the troubles began, because according to Edward, on their way back from the central station, Christina decided to jog. And so they began jogging, but for some reason Christina decided to split from Edward and take a different path back to the campsite. Edward jogged on the road toward Highway 17, while Christina jogged on a road that leads to Rainbow Falls. Edward kept following the road with the intention of reaching the Rossport campground. On the way, he passed by a picnic area and carved on the rock FCJE, the first initials of all 4 members of their group. Edward then decided to turn back and headed to the campsite at White Sand Lake. Soon he arrived back at their campsite number 88, about an hour after he and Christina split near the park's central station. He immediately began searching for an axe for the purpose of splitting some oversized logs for the campfire, but could not find one. It is not clear whether the park's campsites come equipped with an axe for chopping wood or not. Soon the other 2 members of the group, Joe Benedict and Faith Castulo, woke up around 9:30. At first, the 3 did not make much of Christina's delay in returning and assumed that she probably was taking a walk. Joe then went to the central station and took a shower, and then headed to one of the beaches on the lake to see if Christina was there, but she was not. Meanwhile, Edward and Faith prepared breakfast back at the camp. By 11 a.m., the group began feeling really worried since Christina had not returned yet, and decided that it was best to begin looking for her. Edward and Joe got in the car and drove along the road to Rainbow Falls, and then searched the Lake Superior Trail and Rainbow Falls Trail, which are 2 divergent forest trails that Christina may have jogged down. Unfortunately, they did not seek help from any of the people they encountered on the trail while searching. At 1:45 p.m., the group left a note for Christina in case she returned while they were gone. A few minutes later, they arrived at the park's gatehouse and asked for maps of the trails. They also informed the staff that Christina was missing. The staff advised them to report the situation to the Ontario Provincial Police, OPP for short, and also began making calls and went out to search for Christina. The group contacted the OPP at 2 p.m. to make a missing person report. 2 hours later, the group began feeling anxious and decided to inform Christina's mother, Elizabeth Rutledge. Within a couple of hours, the OPP's emergency response team took responsibility and established a command post in the park near White Sand Lake. More than 100 police officers, in addition to contractors who specialize in search and rescue in forests and rugged areas, spent the next 17 days flipping every rock and even used diving teams and infrared technologies to search the lakes and river. Helicopters and fixed-wing planes in addition to canine units were also used. But to their bad luck, less than 24 hours from the moment they began the search and before the canine units arrived, a rainstorm hit the region, washing off Christina's scent and other potential evidence that could have been sniffed by the canine units. It was a nightmare, because they could not recover a single piece of hard evidence. And what made the situation worse is that the only witness who alleged that he saw an Asian woman drinking coffee near his RV around 9:30 in the park's Rossport campsite was deemed unreliable, and his statement was simply useless even after multiple interviews. Even though the park was quite busy on that day because it was a long weekend, none of the park's patrons saw or heard anything which complicated the situation. It was as if the ground opened up and swallowed Christina. Investigators could not find any evidence that she may have been attacked by wolves or bears, and experts stated that even if these animals did, they would have left plenty of evidence behind. This theory was ruled out right from the beginning. The park's forest and bushes are also extremely thick, to the point a person could not walk in it, and even if a person did enter it, they would not be able to go deep. 2 of the rescuers were even injured while searching for Christina. They literally flipped the park upside down and even searched deep lakes and parts of the river. Nothing was found. Even after the police called off the search, private investigators and groups from the community and supporters conducted intense searches, but found nothing. Then rumors began to surface. But let's be honest, when did theories solve such complex crimes or anything, as a matter of fact? The deeper we dug into the case, the more clear it became that Christina was either abducted and moved out of the park in a vehicle or was snatched while near Highway 17, which is unlikely. There is also the possibility that a killer who was camping there simply killed her and either buried her in a clever manner within the park or moved her body via a vehicle out of the park. 75 of the park's campsites were occupied at the time of her disappearance. This meant that 75 groups were present there, and if the killer or kidnapper was one of them, then the authorities should have gone backward in their investigation after they could not find her nor her body, and question all those who had reservations at the park at that time. This should have also made her friend Edward, who was last seen with her, a suspect, and he should have been tested with a polygraph. As of 2023, Christina Calayca is still missing. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and ring the bell to get notified every time we upload a new video.